12 American attack submarines receive orders to track 6 Chinese ballistic missile submarines carrying nuclear weapons. The 47-day underwater hunt becomes the most intense submarine operation since the Cold War. May 15, 2025, South China Sea, waters southeast of Hainan Island. At 3:47 a.m., U.S. Naval Intelligence detected unusual activity at China's Yulin Naval Base, home port for the People's Liberation Army Navy's ballistic missile submarine fleet. Satellite imagery and signals intelligence indicated that 6 Type 094 Jin-class ballistic missile submarines were preparing for simultaneous departure, an unprecedented event that suggested China was conducting a major strategic deterrent patrol. Each Type 094, displacing 11,000 tons submerged and carrying 12 JL-2 submarine-launched ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads, represented a strategic threat to American cities and military bases across the Pacific. Within 2 hours of the intelligence assessment, U.S. Pacific Fleet Headquarters transmitted emergency orders to 12 Virginia-class attack submarines operating across the Western Pacific. The mission was clear and critical: locate, track, and maintain continuous contact with all 6 Chinese ballistic missile submarines for the duration of their patrol. Do not lose contact, do not be detected. Gather complete intelligence on their operational patterns, acoustic signatures, and patrol routes. The operation, designated Serpent Watch, would become the most ambitious submarine tracking mission since the Soviet Union deployed multiple ballistic missile submarines during Cold War patrols. The 12 Virginia-class submarines, designated Hunter 1 through Hunter 12, were positioned across a vast operational area stretching from the South China Sea to the Central Pacific. Each boat, costing $3.2 billion and crewed by 135 highly trained sailors, was optimized for exactly this mission. Advanced sonar systems capable of detecting submarines at ranges exceeding 100 miles under favorable conditions, quieter propulsion than any previous attack submarine, and communication systems that allowed coordination while maintaining stealth. But tracking 6 targets simultaneously across thousands of square miles of ocean would test every capability. At 11:34 p.m. on May 15th, the 6 Chinese Type 094 submarines departed Yulin Naval Base in sequence, each boat leaving at 20-minute intervals to avoid congestion at the port entrance. The departures, monitored by U.S. surveillance assets, confirmed the submarines were conducting operational patrols rather than training exercises. Each boat carried full weapons loads and sufficient provisions for 90-day deployments. U.S. intelligence assessed that China was demonstrating its sea-based nuclear deterrent capability, proving to Washington and the world that Chinese ballistic missile submarines could operate in open ocean for extended periods. At 1:15 a.m. on May 16th, USS Connecticut, designated Hunter 1, detected the first Type 094 submarine as it cleared the South China Sea and entered the Luzon Strait. The Chinese boat, identified as Hull 409 based on its acoustic signature, was traveling at 12 knots at a depth of 400 feet heading southeast. Connecticut's commanding officer, Commander Rachel Kim, immediately transmitted an encrypted report via extremely low-frequency communications. Contact: Type 094, designated Target Alpha. Tracking: Connecticut settled into trail position 18,000 yards behind Target Alpha, matching its speed and depth while remaining undetected. At 4:30 a.m., USS Vermont Hunter 2 detected the second Type 094, designated Target Bravo, transiting east through the Bashi Channel between Taiwan and the Philippines. Vermont's sonar operators noted that Target Bravo's acoustic signature was slightly quieter than Target Alpha, suggesting either newer technology or superior maintenance. Vermont established trail at 20,000 yards, a more cautious distance reflecting uncertainty about the Chinese boat's detection capabilities. By 8 a.m. on May 16th, 4 of the 6 Type 094 submarines had been detected and were being tracked by Hunters 1 through 4. The remaining 2 boats, targets Echo and Foxtrot, had apparently taken different routes or were operating more quietly than expected. Should attack submarines maintain close trails risking detection or hang back accepting potential loss of contact? Type A for aggressive tracking. Type B for cautious distance. Comment your tactical assessment. At 2:00 p.m. on May 17th, USS Illinois, Hunter 5, detected target Echo north of Guam, heading east toward the open Pacific. The Chinese submarine had apparently transited through Philippine waters without being detected by Hunters 3 and 4, suggesting it had operated at very low speeds or utilized thermal layers to mask its signature. Illinois, repositioning from patrol duties near Japan, intercepted target Echo and established trail at 15,000 yards, but target Foxtrot remained undetected. U.S. Pacific Fleet Headquarters, concerned about losing track of 1/6 of China's deployed strategic deterrent, diverted additional surveillance assets to locate the missing boat. At 9:30 p.m. on May 18th, target Foxtrot was finally detected by USS North Dakota, Hunter 6 operating southwest of Hawaii. The Chinese submarine had taken the longest route, transiting through Indonesian straits and approaching the Central Pacific from the south. North Dakota's sonar operators assessed that target Foxtrot was the quietest of the 6 Type 094s, possibly a newer hull with upgraded quieting technology. North Dakota established trail at 22,000 yards, the maximum range at which contact could be reliably maintained. By May 19th, all 6 Chinese ballistic missile submarines were tracked by dedicated American attack submarines. The tracking mission's complexity escalated immediately. Each Chinese submarine operated independently, following different patrol patterns and operating procedures. Target Alpha, tracked by USS Connecticut, established a patrol box 800 miles east of the Philippines and began slow-speed operations at depths varying between 300 and 600 feet. Target Bravo, followed by USS Vermont, headed northeast toward the vicinity of Midway Atoll, demonstrating remarkable range for a Chinese submarine. Targets Charlie and Delta, tracked by Hunters 3 and 4, operated in overlapping patrol areas south of Japan, suggesting they were practicing coordinated deterrent patrols. Target Echo, tracked by USS Illinois, conducted the most aggressive patrol profile. The Chinese submarine headed directly toward the Hawaiian Islands, approaching within 400 nautical miles before turning northwest. This represented a significant capability demonstration. Chinese ballistic missile submarines could threaten American bases and cities from positions closer than previously assessed. Target Foxtrot, the quietest and most cautious of the 6, established a patrol area in the Central Pacific and conducted minimal maneuvering, apparently prioritizing stealth over tactical positioning. By May 25th, 10 days into the operation, the psychological and operational strain on the 12 American attack submarine crews was mounting. Each boat was conducting 24-hour operations, with sonar operators maintaining constant vigilance to avoid losing contact. Commanding officers rotated watch schedules carefully, ensuring crew members received adequate rest while maintaining tracking effectiveness. But the stress of operating for extended periods while maintaining absolute silence was taking its toll. Sleep quality declined. Minor equipment malfunctions required immediate repairs without surfacing, and the constant awareness that detection could trigger international incident kept everyone on edge. At 3:15 a.m. on May 27th, the first near-detection incident occurred. Target Charlie, being tracked by USS Hawaii, Hunter 3, executed an unexpected clearing turn, reversing course 180 degrees to check for trails. Hawaii, caught at 12,000 yards by the sudden maneuver, went completely silent and drifted while the Chinese submarine passed within 8,000 yards. For 90 tense minutes, both submarines were essentially stopped, each listening for the other. Chinese sonar operators aboard Target Charlie detected what they described as a possible biologics contact, but couldn't confirm it was a submarine. At 4:45 a.m., Target Charlie resumed its original course. Hawaii waited an additional hour before slowly reacquiring contact at 18,000 yards. Subscribe to Navy Mission now for the most detailed submarine warfare coverage available. This is analysis that goes beneath the surface. The near detection prompted immediate reviews of tracking procedures across all 12 hunters. Patrol distances were increased to 20,000, 25,000 yards. Clearing turns and other counter-detection maneuvers were anticipated based on Chinese submarine doctrine analysis, and coordination between attack submarines tracking boats in overlapping areas was enhanced to provide backup if primary contact was lost. The adjustments reflected the delicate balance between maintaining intelligence value and avoiding detection that could trigger diplomatic or military escalation. By June 1st, 18 days into Operation Serpent Watch, significant patterns had emerged in Chinese operating procedures. The Type 094 submarines conducted clearing turns every 48-72 hours. They operated primarily at depths between 300-500 feet, rarely going deeper, despite being capable of 600-foot operations. Communication with Chinese naval headquarters occurred at scheduled intervals, requiring the submarines to rise to periscope depth and transmit encrypted burst messages. And most critically, all 6 boats exhibited similar acoustic signatures during specific maneuvers, allowing U.S. intelligence to build comprehensive profiles of the Type 094 class. At 11:00 p.m. on June 5th, the operation's most dangerous incident occurred. Target Delta, tracked by USS Missouri, Hunter 4, and Target Charlie, tracked by USS Hawaii, Hunter 3, conducted converging patrol patterns that brought them within 15,000 yards of each other. The 2 American attack submarines focused on their respective targets suddenly found themselves operating in proximity with 2 Chinese ballistic missile submarines and each other. The underwater geometry became incredibly complex. 4 submarines in a relatively small area, all trying to remain undetected while monitoring adversaries. For 6 hours, from 11 p.m. on June 5th to 5 a.m. on June 6th, the 4 submarines maneuvered cautiously while the American boats maintained tracking of their assigned targets. USS Missouri detected USS Hawaii on sonar at 2:30 a.m., a brief moment of confusion before identification was confirmed through classified underwater communication protocols. The Chinese submarines, if they detected unusual sonar contacts, showed no indication beyond routine defensive maneuvering. At 5 a.m., the Chinese boats diverged on different courses and the tactical situation simplified. But the incident demonstrated how quickly underwater operations could become dangerously crowded. By June 15th, 31 days into the operation, the 6 Chinese Type 094 submarines had collectively traveled over 40,000 nautical miles while being continuously tracked by American attack submarines. The intelligence gathered was extraordinary. Complete acoustic profiles of all 6 boats under various operating conditions, detailed understanding of Chinese ballistic missile submarine patrol doctrine, communications procedures and schedules, maximum operating depths and speeds, and critically confirmation that while the Type 094 was quieter than previous Chinese submarines, it remained detectable by American sensors at tactically relevant ranges. At 8 a.m. on June 20th, Target Alpha began its return transit toward Yulin Naval Base, suggesting the patrol was concluding. Over the following week, the other 5 Type 094 submarines also turned toward home. USS Connecticut continued tracking Target Alpha until it entered Chinese territorial waters on June 28th. USS Vermont tracked Target Bravo until June 30th. And the remaining hunters maintained contact with their assigned targets until all 6 Chinese submarines had returned to port by July 1st. Operation Serpent Watch officially concluded at midnight on July 1st. 47 days after it began. The 12 American attack submarines had maintained continuous tracking of 6 Chinese ballistic missile submarines across 8,000 nautical miles of ocean. Not a single day passed without at least one American boat maintaining contact with its assigned target. The operation had involved over 1,600 personnel across the 12 submarines, operating in conditions of extreme stress and operational tempo for over 6 weeks. 0 American submarines were detected. 0 contact was lost for longer than 12 hours. The mission was an unqualified success. Do you think tracking ballistic missile submarines justifies the risks of undersea incidents, or is this dangerous escalation? Share your perspective below. For the crews of the 12 Virginia-class submarines, Operation Serpent Watch became legendary within the submarine community. They had executed the most complex multi-boat tracking operation in history without detection or losing contact. The psychological toll was significant. Many crew members reported sleep disturbances and stress-related symptoms that took weeks to resolve, but their professionalism had gathered intelligence that would shape U.S. understanding of Chinese submarine capabilities for years. For China, the realization that their ballistic missile submarines had been tracked throughout their strategic deterrent patrol was a strategic shock. Chinese naval intelligence, analyzing acoustic data and operational patterns, concluded with high confidence that American submarines had trailed the Type 094s. The implications were sobering. China's sea-based nuclear deterrent, intended to be survivable and undetectable, was neither. American attack submarines could find and track Chinese ballistic missile boats, potentially putting them at risk in a crisis. Strategically, Operation Serpent Watch demonstrated enduring American advantages in submarine warfare. Superior sonar technology, better quieting, more experienced crews, and operational doctrines refined over decades of Cold War and post-Cold War operations. China's submarine force, while improving, remained inferior in critical areas. The gap was narrowing as evidenced by Target Foxtrot's improved quieting, but American dominance persisted. Now I want 3 perspectives from you. First, does tracking ballistic missile submarines reduce strategic stability by making second strike capabilities vulnerable? Second, what does this operation reveal about the state of undersea warfare between the U.S. and China? Third, should such tracking operations be conducted during peacetime, or do they risk triggering conflicts through miscalculation? Comment your detailed strategic analysis below. Your insights drive the conversations we have on Navy Mission. And if this breakdown of the largest submarine tracking operation since the Cold War gave you new understanding of undersea warfare, prove it by hitting that like button, subscribing to Navy Mission, and turning on notifications. Until next time, stay silent, stay vigilant, and remember that the most important battles occur where no one can see them.